Good morning, Torbay. Here we go with episode 21 of Torbay Business Forum's Breakfast Bytes. It's great to have you all with us this morning. And don't forget, those that are watching on catch up, please don't vote now because your money might be wasted. But we will get to that very soon. Torbay Business Forum's Breakfast Bytes has become quite a box set now. So for those who would like to binge watch and watch all of the previous events with Jim and his rocking horse, please do go onto our Torbay Business Forum website where you can watch, I think we call it second helpings. So it's great to be joined by the team this morning. Emily, of course, our long-suffering producer. She's been with us for the last 15 months doing these events, and more of that in a moment. We've got Angela, our vice chair of Torbay Business Forum from sunny Brixham. And of course, in the playroom at home with Freddie the Rocking Horse, we have our very own Jim Parker. So morning, everyone. Now, we've got a couple of guest speakers today. I've got Jackie Kelly, who you're all waiting to hear from, who is Director of Sales at Hampton by Hilton in Torquay, that wonderful new hotel we've got on our horizon. And later on, we're going to hear all the scary stuff from Graham Reed, all about the cyber security, because let's face it, the bank robbers don't need to get out of bed anymore. They can just catch you from their laptops. So hopefully everyone's staying safe, and Graham will be our technical expert on all things cyber. So great to have you with us. Now, a couple of things. We couldn't bring these events to you, of course, without our wonderful sponsors. And sponsors of the month are Cavanna Homes and also Absolute Sales and Lettings. So thank you to both of those companies for supporting us, and all our other sponsors, of course, without whose support we could not do these events. Last month we talked about opening up. Well, May the 17th came and it's upon us, and we had probably one of the busiest ever bank holiday weekends in May I've ever seen. People joined the M5 car park. I didn't hear troubles getting here, but I heard they had trouble getting home. So hopefully they went home with fond memories. And we have, of course, we spoke to Carolyn last month with our Responsible Riviera. And the bid company, of course, the ER Bid 2 is live and kicking now. The ballot papers are out there. Please, if you have any contacts in the industry, make sure that those ballots are sent back with a positive yes, because we need that money to come through from Bid 2 to keep our wonderful destination marketing organization going and keep the English Riviera in the forefront of the world's mind. So thank you very much. Now, talking about what we are like and keeping in people's minds, there's been a lot going on over the last 15 months. Putting us into these virtual rooms has actually brought us together in a different way to maybe how we might have thought about it. And I think the legacy of the forum has been to bring businesses together and to keep things going while we're in this environment, but also that community effort. And who better to talk about community than our very own Jim? Jim is chair of Torbay Together. I know that you have made Torbay your life's work. And I thought we would talk a bit about that today and what's been going on, Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Torbay Together is a partnership which was formed more than 2 years ago. I've been chairing it for the last 18 months, and it's just what you say, really. It's a body which tries to unite Torbay as one voice that brings together the private, the public, and the voluntary sectors in one setting, and with the aim of making sure that we set goals when it comes to giving Torbay a better future. And I think that the feeling was that previously Torbay was a little bit slow to work together and deliver projects. So Together was formed, and we now meet once a month with some key partners such as the Forum, the TDA, the College, the Health Trust, all those leading partners to discuss the way ahead. And the idea is to package all that up and go knocking on doors, ministers' doors, to try and get some funding for the Bay, as well as raising the profile. And we've had a bit of success the last couple of years. The town deal funding for Torquay, the High Street funding for Paynton, the levelling up funding, hopefully Brixham. That all, I think, has something to do with us going knocking on doors asking for that help. I think that the powers that be like that togetherness. So that's what we are. But we got to a stage where we're at the crossroads in Torbay. I think I've said many times, with lots of hope for the future, lots of investment, which we'll hear about later on. And we thought that the partnership needed a little bit of a refresh, maybe a look from the outside in at our strategic goals, our aims, to see how we could move forward. There's absolutely no point meeting once a month, talking about doing good things, but not delivering. So that's where the council showed how serious they are with the partnership. And we got in Thinking Place, which is a team of consultants which has worked all over the country. If you Google them, you'll see they've done work in places like Coventry with major success. So that's when we called in Thinking Place to work with us, Steve, and with everybody in the back. Yeah.
Thinking Place. So if anybody's not heard of that before, if you look up Thinking Place, and what we're trying to do here is actually to bring about some change, because like the cartoon shows, everyone's saying, oh, we've got to change, but not everybody is prepared to actually change themselves, or who's going to lead that change. So Jim, should we go to those slides on the Thinking Place slides that you brought through?
Yeah, good idea. I think we just need to let people know that Thinking Place presented to Torbay Together last week, and this is 143 slides from an hour's presentation, whittled down to 12, which me and Reynolds were burning midnight oil last night, trying to make sure we got a flavour of what it was all about. So bear in mind, this is 143 slides in 12. Say again?
There's only 10 to go, so it's all right.
Yeah. So that again, Torbay Together, and the whole point of Thinking Place was to have a look at the shape of the place and the vision that we have for the place. And place was the key word. Thinking Place reckoned that every place should have a story, a narrative to tell, and know exactly what its identity is, so that we know, not just internally, but people looking from the outside in know exactly what they get with Torbay and what Torbay wants to get from them. So the whole idea was looking at that and the three towns, the bay itself, to try and come up with some themes and a storyline for Torbay. Yeah. Next slide, Emily, please.
Next slide, please, Emily. Thank you.
Yeah. And it was about making the place the hero, as I say, but linking place with the people absolutely key to going forward. And also couldn't come at a better time or a worse time, whatever you look at it, obviously, with coming out of the pandemic, God willing, and trying to grow post-COVID, but widening that place leadership, not just being led by a group of people sat on the table, but a really collaborative approach, a coalition of the willing, building a confidence, having confidence in what we have, because Torbay is a brilliant place, and this isn't saying that Torbay's broke. This is saying that Torbay is on the up. We just need to work on that, to move on that, and take advantage of it, and make the most of what we have in our beautiful Riviera. Thanks, Emily. It wasn't a Mickey Mouse exercise, and it's not a Mickey Mouse exercise. You can see there the amount of engagement the Thinking Place team undertook, with 40 stakeholder interviews across the patch, 10 focus groups, 6 workshops, and 3 online surveys. They also spent a weekend at a B&B in Torquay and were really impressed with the service they got. So it wasn't just a survey online or whatever you want to do. It was a big exercise. They spent weeks doing it. And they came up with some key words, or the people that we talked to came up with some key words. And this is just really a snapshot. It's what Torbay meant to them from looking from the outside or the inside. And you can see there that we've got the beauty, we've got the bay, and we've got regeneration of palm trees, but hospitality obviously is a key feature of it. People associate retirement with us. The assets that we have, this is just one page of 5. We are blessed with assets. We have beauty everywhere, water sports, we have Dartmoor on our doorstep. We don't make enough of Dartmoor. That was one of the key findings of Thinking Place. We have UNESCO. Again, underplayed really is the natural environment we have just waiting for us. The Christie brand came up a lot as well, and the strength of the English Riviera brand, but that the assets far outweighs the negatives when it came to what Torbay thought and what people thought of Torbay both internally and externally. Thank you. This is where you might want to come in, Steve, a little bit, because this was the business section. This was the business people telling Thinking Place what they thought of Torbay, what the challenges were, and what the good bits were. Again, I can't emphasise enough, this is just not about knocking Torbay, it's about looking at Torbay and how we can move things forward. So obviously the visitor economy featured really heavily because that is the main industry. In Brixham, it's fishing, but then again, photonics was key to it, and the great success story on the Ring Road with the Epic Centre and the high-tech cluster. The hospital employing thousands of people with its regeneration plans, and Torbay is blessed with dozens and dozens of small companies as well as the public sector. And it's not they're lacking major brand names, but I think, you know, we've got a brand name on the call this morning, so that's being addressed. So that was the keywords coming from business. Thank you.
Yeah, and they would talk about whether it's a place to do business, and we can attract people down here on holiday and hope they want to stay. So how do we actually get them to actually want to set up business here? Because we are at the end of the line in some ways. So we do have a few challenges with us.
And I think that was the next theme of the engagement they had with the business fraternity, and you can see there just some of the and a lot of what Thinking Place came up with. It's not rocket science, it's not new. I think it's just putting a focus and crystallising exactly for the first time what the Bay is about when it comes to challenging and the companies that operate within our borders. We know that we need more startup facilities. We know we have good high-tech clusters, but do we do enough for young people? We've got a college which is brilliant. That came out more than once. The amount of praise that we have for Southern College and the schools and the skill levels. But do we do enough to stop that brain drain and losing young people? And could our infrastructure be a little bit better? We have the bypass, but we're still a long way from London. So those are some of the challenges that the engagement discovered. Thank you. I think that, you know, this was just some of the conclusions really, and we'll come to the themes of the towns. And this, again, it's not rocket science. It's about thinking bigger and wider and bigger and being bolder, but having confidence in what we've got, taking risks. That was one of the things that Thinking Place were really keen to see, that a place like Torbay should take some risks when it comes to the future, out of a shared ambition. And again, that wider place leadership came in as well, involving everybody, not just a few select people, and taking some tough shouts when it came to driving change. The word NIMBY and slow came up at the same time as progressive, and they were encouraged us not to be frightened of forming relationships with the like of Exeter and Plymouth, university relationships. You know, Exeter's just what, 20 minutes up the road. Why shouldn't we be working with Exeter on a city to sea approach? Absolutely, with that package complimentary offer. But it was really about a collaboration between places and people to take us forward. Thank you. Next slide. Yep. So what they did was they packaged all that survey, all that data over the course of 3 or 4 weeks into themes for Torbay and into themes for the 3 towns. Now, these headlines are not set in stone. These are headlines that will go back to the partnership and be shared with the wider populace, see how we can develop them. But they came up with Torbay, which was the premier marine and natural experience with the UNESCO, the marina, the harbour side, you know, we suck, the sailing, the hub for active adventures. but not forgetting, and I like this one a lot, not forgetting the high-tech cluster and the electronic side of things, the future of engineering and all that goes with that, tech by the bay. So those were sort of three themes for Torbay. No surprise with Brixham. They spent a lot of time in Brixham, and of course, Brixham was very very creative, focusing on a lot of food and fishing with the industry down there. Independent, it's got its own identity. Brixham always has, always will be, and that was part of the thing that they grabbed, and it didn't take too very long. So that's become with Brixham with that food and fishing fusion. Paynton, interesting. Based on all the feedback they had, they used these words. They thought they were going to walk into Paynton and find Beirut, but they were really surprised and surprised nicely, because it wasn't as bad as people made out. They thought Paynton was a family fun place for families. It was a kiss me quick place, but it had lots to offer, and it was wrong to knock the place all the time. Yeah, the two towns of Paynton and Torquay in particular have issues, and the retail offer was mentioned in both, and that's why you've got the investment hopefully to sort that out. But Paynton, they looked at as the family fun on the foreshore, not forgetting just a few miles away from the ring road were the Epic Centre and all that goes with that huge success that is the high tech cluster. And Torquay, you know, with the seafront, Abbey Sands, the new hotels, is leading on leisure and lifestyle by the sea. So that was the three themes for the town, really. Thank you.
Well, Jim, so
I just say, yeah, go on, Steve. Go on. Yeah.
We've had the audit done. What happens next?
Yeah, so those three themes, I think that they've identified that we can do more with the likes of Christie, the more we can do with the likes of the Geopark. We've got potential with the old ways, the pavilions. We've got the investment from the government in the can. They use this as a once in a lifetime opportunity for Torbay. So I think what's happening now is, as part of that collaboration, they will report back to the Together Partnership. And with some recommendations. What we need to do is try and align our strategic aims of the partnership with those themes when it comes to better health services, better jobs, more homes, improved education, university status, looking after the fishing industry, promoting the high tech, promoting tourism. So those three things will fall alongside our aims of the partnership as we package those to go looking for money and just promote the bay. So the thinking place will come back with recommendations, which I'm sure will include a board of place directors to make sure that we deliver those aims linked to those themes, and they'll be looking for what they call place ambassadors to shout about Torbay. I've always said, and I think you agree, Steve, we don't shout about Torbay enough. What a brilliant place it is. So I think this is the crossroads. Thinking Place have identified it. They want people to take part in it. It's not just a partnership. It is directors, it is ambassadors, and it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to give Torbay a brighter, brilliant future.
Well, Jim, I think that's a great roundup and pretty good to reduce 143 slides down to those 12. I think it sets the scene. Obviously, there's work to be done. And if you ask anybody on the call today to do anything, what would it be?
I think we just need to pull together, Steve. We really do need to not to work in silos. It's across the board, and it's not just business, it's community, absolutely. The current partnership with the council is very keen on that, and I think they are getting there, absolutely, yes. And if we waste this opportunity with the amount of investment coming in, we want a backside kick, because it will never come our way ever again. So I'm saying grab it, please grab it.
Okay, and I'm sure you'll be shouting it from the pages of the Torbay Weekly, online, and in print. So thanks for all the work that you've been doing, Jim. It is you are the glue that's bringing us together. So thank you for that, and credit to the team that has employed Thinking Place, and we look forward to seeing results. Now, talking about investment, we have Jackie Kelly from Hampton by Hilton, Torquay.
Yeah, good
Welcome,
morning.
Jackie.
Good morning.
What's it been like being part of the Torbay scene in a very, very busy bank?
God, it was crazy in a great way. And we were at full capacity for the majority of last week, especially last weekend. And we had sort of 200 people a night in house. Yeah, so it was, amazing. And as you can expect, we offer a free complimentary breakfast. So breakfast was quite busy. And it was all hands to the deck. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the hotel itself. I mean, it's been a long time coming.
It's been actually, we had one of the owners is down weekly, Peter Tisdale. So just to let everybody know, Hampton by Hilton is a franchise. So Peter Tisdale and Ray Calvin, who was the CEO of Ted Baker, they wanted to invest in Torbay and in this project. They actually bought the car park land over 10 years ago. Ray Calvin bought that land over 10 years ago. And so it has been a labour of love. It's been over 10 years in the making and has changed significantly from one development to another. And we have now ended up with a 131 bedroom hotel.
Wow.
And obviously we've got Woolens underneath, which is amazing. I visited those guys last week. Great building, their office space is incredible. But we've got 131 bedrooms, as I say, and we are looking at a business suite underneath for meeting and events. That is in the early stages at the moment, but it is something that I think the hotel does need, because we are getting inquiries, significant inquiries for meeting space for residential visits to Torbay. And the biggest surprise for me is the corporate element. So I did think we would be predominantly a leisure-based hotel, but we are seeing, quite a bit of corporate stays coming into the bay, which is great to see. And so, yeah, that's where we are at the moment. Issues, I think somebody asked me about what issues do we have. Car parking is a big issue at the moment. Basically, we've got no car park whilst Premier Inn is being built across the way. We will have car park once Premier Inn is built, but at the moment, we're just sending our guests wherever we can get them some car park space. So that's a bit of a challenge. So I am working on that at the moment. We have got 2 apprentices at the hotel, and we're working closely with South Devon College on bringing that youth into the industry, because it has been a challenge, like other hotels in the bay. It has been a challenge post-COVID to get people back into the industry, because it was an industry that was decimated by COVID. So that's been a bit of a challenge to get people to come back into the industry. We have got a really good team around us at the moment, so we are very hopeful that we can look after our team and keep our team on board, and we're working really hard to do that.
Yeah, Jackie, there's a question coming from Claire Coulston about will the Hilton be offering any work placements or traineeships?
So we are working with the college for apprenticeships, but if she gets in touch with me, I'll pass her information on to the general manager. They can have that. We're keen to work with young people within the bay. So yeah, definitely send some information through to me, come in and have a meeting. And I'd say that to anybody who's on the call, I'd love to show you around the hotel. It's looking fantastic, and we are open to the general public. So if you want to come here and have some business meetings, come in, have a coffee, sit in the restaurant, sit in the lounge area, meet your guests here. We're happy for you to come into the hotel. Don't be afraid, not to come into the hotel. We're encouraging people to come into the hotel.
So Jackie, I think I need to come across and see you, because how many people can you fit in?
Well, I've got a wait today for 25 people in the restaurant. Right. And at the minute, we've got no meeting space until we decided the business unit is going to go ahead on floor 1. But it depends from a business perspective. If you're okay with an open plan sort of business arrangements, probably about 25.
Right. Yeah. Could Could you accommodate 120 of us for breakfast one morning?
Oh, might be a challenge, but I think I could do it. Just not on a weekend. And there's always a way, Steve. There's always a way.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a comment coming from Peter Blackler of Insignia Creative. Can Jackie comment more on the corporate stays? What sector and what interest are you seeing?
Okay. Yeah, so the sector's quite wide. It's quite varied. So I'm seeing quite a lot of government business. So I've made sure there are hotels on all of the government RFPs, which how RFP works is that one agent will look after quite a lot of the government stays because it has to be managed so they get the best value, obviously, because it's our money that's being spent. So I just make sure that we're on all of those programs. And so anyone that's visiting the Bay from a government perspective, hopefully they'll stay with us. That's the plan. So I'm seeing quite a lot of government business, some tech business, retail. So people, reps who are visiting the food industry or retail or tech, we're getting those stays. And I think that's because my background is working for Hampton and Hilton. I was national sales manager for Green King Hotels. So my job was to drive revenue into 131 hotels across the UK, which was quite a challenge, but I worked really closely with the big agents, the big booking agents that booked corporate business into those hotels. So I've brought my contacts with me to the Bay, you know, to say if anyone's traveling around the country and they're staying anywhere within the Bay, visiting businesses within the Bay, then I want them to come and stay with me. Sorry if there's more hotels, on the call, but I'm a little bit greedy. That's just me.
Well, once you're full and overflowing, how are you going to see yourself fitting in with the other Bay scene that we've got already with the other hotels?
So already I'm starting to speak to, you know, all jokes apart, I am a team player. I'm a big team player. Over last weekend, we've sent quite a lot of business to the local restaurants. Ollie's got quite a lot of business from us last week. So I'm working closely with the businesses in Torbay from a restaurant, from an events perspective. So I'm working quite close with the guys on the waterfront to offer, you know, our guest stay, come and test the water sports that are happening on the seafront. So and from a hotel perspective, at the moment I can't do functions. I'd love to do them, but I can't do them. So what I am doing is passing those leads on to other hotels in the Bay that I know have got the facility to offer those functions to those companies. And you know, if I get someone come to me and they want, you know, 100 people, I can't do it. But I know someone like probably the Imperial can do it. So I'll pass that lead over. And I think we are team players. Although Hampton by Hilton is a big brand, we're owned by, you know, the investors are invested in the Bay and, you know, want us to work closely with our neighbours. They've invested £34 million of their money into this hotel, and we have to work collaboratively. We have to work together in the Bay. It's not all about, you know, being greedy. It is, and there's something for everybody. You know, there's coach tours that I can't take, but actually TLH are really good at coach tours, or the Headlands are really good. They've been doing it for a long time. You know, so I'm saying to these tour companies, I can't take your business, but actually we have two partners in the Bay who can take your business. You know, so I do think there's something for everybody, and we have to work together. I'm open, and I've said to the sales managers in those hotels, come in and meet me, come and have a look around, and let's see how we work together. I don't believe in being secretive. I'm quite open. So I'm hoping to any of the sales managers that want to come in and have a chat, happy to do it.
That was great, because that's all just about being part of the family, isn't it? And actually working together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a question in from Ronnie Holden from Big Wave Media. Have you noticed if people are visiting the Bay for the first time?
Yes, and I've been quite vocal the last 2 weeks. I've made a point of being on breakfast and speaking to the guests, and I would say probably about 70% of the guests, this is their first time to Torbay. And I would say out of the 70%, 50% have said they absolutely will come back. And certainly people with families. And we've had quite a lot of families in with children with special needs, like autism and different special needs. And those parents have said the challenge of taking a child on an aeroplane with autism or with special needs it's massive. But they do need to take the children away. The experience of coming here has been unbelievably different. So those parents have said if they get the weather, then the chances are they probably won't take those kids abroad. They'll bring the children to other seaside towns across the UK. So for me, that was just amazing to hear. One, that our team understand families that are, are staying with children of all ages, ranges, all needs, but that the parents feel comfortable to bring their kids back to the Bay, and they feel that there's a lot in the Bay. They're a bit like what Jim was saying earlier. They thought it was going to be like kiss me quick and a bit cheesy and a bit, just not great experience, but that's not being the case, because we have got so many great companies in the Bay all working together to make it work. These people that are coming are having a really nice experience. And so that's what the aim is, to give them a good experience. So in answer to your question, yes, it is the first time quite a lot of these people have been to Torbay.
Yeah, and it just shows you, because those people will go back and tell others.
Yeah.
Because you could upset one person, they'll tell 10 people.
Yeah.
Please one person, they might tell a friend. So it's so important we give those good news stories out.
And I think the key as well, the feedback that we're getting is that the food offering in the Bay is just second to none. The places, 21, Ollie's, the Indian restaurants, these Amici's over the road, number 7, so on the rocks. These people are asking you, they're researching before they even get here. And when they arrive, they're asking our opinion. What's the food like there? We've heard about this. So they're doing a lot of research before they even get here. So we're being known to be the place to be for real good food, fantastic activities, and great places for the kids to go.
So I guess you're probably going around sampling these restaurants, are you?
Well, it's my aim. I've been to 2. I'm trying to do nil by mouth at the moment.
Jim's got a question for you, I think.
No, just a quick shout out. As Jackie said, Torbay Street was on the drawing board for more than 10 years. We had so many stop-starts, we never thought it would start in the end. But it was the council and TDA, to be there, Steve, that put their money where their mouth is and got it over the line. And just, they get a lot of stick, and just for once here, it wouldn't have happened without TDA and the council and the authority at the time putting some money in and getting it over the line, which I think is good. And you look at Abbey Sands, the fact that they got for Abbey Sands, the huge success that is. So the Hilton is just one of those important milestones that we talk about, thinking place and grabbing the opportunity and taking a risk, which the council did. And look at it now. So just a comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we wouldn't have got it over the line without the help of those guys. Yeah. Definitely.
So Jackie, how do you see it panning out now? Do you see us opening on June the 21st?
Oh, I'm not so sure. If you'd have asked me that question 2 weeks ago, I'd have said absolutely. But judging by the last couple of days, I'm not so sure. And it's a shame, because we need them to open on the 21st for all of our industries. And everybody is COVID safe. I've become the COVID mafia. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Every business I go into in Torbay, we are stringently following COVID rules, so I just don't understand why, if they stop us open and fully on the 21st, it'll be a challenge, but we will get over it. We're resilient. This industry is resilient, and we can work together to get over this. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, if you rewind 12 months, we were talking about how crazy it was to be opening on July the 4th.
I know.
I can see that being a bit of a Groundhog Day this year, but we just have to wait and see, won't we?
We do, and we're all trying to be very, very positive about it. And when it arrives, and if it hits us, then we'll find a solution and we'll find a way around it. And I think collectively, you know, however many people are on this call and other business sections other business meetings I attend, there's some great minds out there, and I think we probably just need to join together those great minds and just make it a great place for us all to work and live in.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's great to have you as part of the team, Jackie.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming along, and I'm sorry I haven't been able to come in and see you yet. I did think about broadcasting live from there today, but I thought we would keep in the spirit of stay home, stay safe for the moment. But
okay, but you're welcome anytime.
Once we're open properly, it'll be the gloves are off, no holds barred, and we'll be live and dangerous out there in the community. So it's great to see you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we look forward to it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jackie. And it's been great to see that you're not on your own. There's somebody working in the background for you. So
that's the Deputy General Manager, in and out. In and out, in and out. No one sits still. Looking busy. No one sits still in this business.
Give us a wave.
You said give them a wave, Sam.
Hello.
Oh, that's Sam, is it? Excellent. We look forward to seeing you. So I'm going to ask Emily now if she could bring back in Angela, please, and Graham, our next guests, as we're on schedule, which is good. Jonathan Cavanagh's made a comment here because Cavanagh Homes, one of our key sponsors of the month, and he's worried about what kind of hat I'm going to put on at the end, but I'm not sure if I've got it with me today because we're trying to stay serious. This is business. So, Angela, you brought a guest along today, so over to you.
Okay, so thank you and good morning, everyone. Welcome, obviously, to TBF Breakfast Bites. What we do alongside the Breakfast Bites is we've joined together with the Chambers and we developed a thing called the Torbay Business and Chambers Network, and we had Zoom meetings, and they happen every month, usually on the 3rd Tuesday of the month at 4 o'clock till 5 o'clock, just for 1 hour. But it means that you network with people that so you have that personal contact. We have breakout groups. And the one that we've been on for the last couple of months, I've met Graham in a couple of breakouts, which is and he's fascinated everyone in the breakout groups by I was going to say scaring the life out of us on the whole cyber safety, but also just saying things that we can help ourselves especially when we're going back to being a hybrid, working maybe in a hotel lobby. How do we protect ourselves? So today I'm delighted to invite Graham Reed now to talk. So we've got a few kind of little questions and answers, I guess, that he can give that may help you when you return to a kind of working environment. So welcome, Graham. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for being involved today.
That's all right. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So first question, obviously, is what's your business and how did you actually get involved in becoming a kind of cyber happy?
Oh, well, I suppose I've always been interested in computers.
Okay.
I was about 12 years old when I had my first one. And that was a Tandy TRS-80 16K RAM with a tape deck for storage. Tape decks for storage. Wow. I've worked in the IT industry since 1999. I've held various positions ranging from general support person to director level. I've been on training courses. Well, I've been on more training courses than I've had opt-inners. But a couple of good ones that I really did like were the Microsoft SQL programming one and the CompTIA Security Plus. Great courses. I decided to set my business up in May 2006, and I was going to provide, or I did provide, IT help and support to home users in my local area. It took probably a couple of years to get established, which would give me enough income to cover all of my bills, and then a little bit over the top, which I can reinvest into the business and build it further. So I then started to offer small businesses help, including software development. And with that software development, I wrote a number of back office systems. And then I moved on in 2013. I took on a contract with a small family-run business, helped them obtain their very own ISO 27001 accreditation. And I managed to do that in record time. It took roughly around 3 months from start to finish. I'll tell you what, I had to learn a hell of a lot there quickly. All aspects of the standard, I can tell you. Things ranging from technical all the way down to administration level. Well, when I say down to administration level, I'm not doing down administration because I love administration. So The company grew very quickly, and it's been very successful since. I've worked with a number of other small businesses over the past 10 years, helping them with their IT requirements, including disaster recovery and business continuity. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So go on, what's a typical day in the life of Graham? Because I'm always fascinated with people with different roles. So what, if you just quickly run through a typical day in the life?
Okay, typical day. Well, before the pandemic, it would be nice and relaxed, everything all tickety-boo. There would be the odd stressful job, but I think it's time-wise more than anything that would made it stressful. I'd have a few jobs booked in throughout the week, in some cases further ahead than that, if I was lucky. But then, see, that's the fun of not actually working for a company permanently or contracting on a regular basis. I have to wait for clients to contact me when they need me. And usually the jobs, the average sort of time scale for a job would be around about an hour and a half. And I would tab somewhere between 3 and 4 jobs a day. And sometimes I'd be working on Sundays as well, because obviously home users, for instance, you know, they don't, they're at home on a Sunday. So I have to do that. Invoicing is probably my most least favorite job. And I tend to leave that till the last minute. I hate doing it. But that's
the most important thing. If you don't invoice, you don't get the money, honey.
I know. Oh dear.
Yeah. So go on. So what type of businesses do you have, and what are the kind of issues that you're seeing crop up?
Okay, well, I'll split that to pre-pandemic and then currently. Before the pandemic, I had about 20 businesses that I was regularly working with, and a couple of hundred home users. And I suppose the types of businesses that I was working with range from medical research laboratories, property management and renting companies, and parish councils. And I think I've got 5 to date at the moment, parish councils. And of course, there's other companies as well. The usual problems that I would come up against would be like software issues, things like Windows updates, forgotten passwords, virus and malware infections, and sort of general IT training on subjects like protection, security and protection. So funnily enough, though, I don't get as many hardware failures these days as I used to get. And if I do get hardware failures, they're pretty much hard drive failures. You know, the machine suddenly dies, blue screen of death, you know, you name it. So when I do get those, I always rebuild them with SSD drives now. Solid state drives, much, much faster. I believe the industry reckons they're about up to 15 times quicker than a normal traditional hard drive because there's no moving parts.
Right.
So sometimes I will also get involved with other issues, a little bit more in depth, things where we've got data leaks or data's been stolen, for instance, and that can actually involve a fair amount of time, you know, constantly looking through various bits of data and devices. Now, the company may want, or the organization may want to prosecute at the end of that. So there are certain steps that I need to take in order to preserve evidence, you know, for the police and make sure I don't contaminate anything. I do also get asked quite regularly now for actually recovering lost files and folders from people's hard drives where they've deleted something or something has got on and deleted it, for instance. And with the data recovery, there's 2 main areas. There's like a general recovery, where that process is where I take it back to my office and I would actually recover the data there on my data recovery server. And then sometimes if it's a raw recovery, I'll have to actually reformat the documents like Word or Excel, for instance. But then there's the more advanced one, the clean room recovery. Now that is a little bit more advanced because it needs to be in a laboratory conditions where the air is filtered down to about 1 micron or less than. That will also involve a lot more cost, but if you're lucky, your insurance policy should cover that. So
what is what type of issue would have been on the that would require a clean room recovery?
Clean room recovery, you could actually have a device where it's been fire damaged. It can be where the device has, you know, literally fused itself, and the actual disk itself, the chassis has to be opened to actually take out the actual spindles and the platters, and then the data can be recovered from there. That's why the air's got to be filtered down because you don't want any particles on that. So, you know.
So even fire damaged equipment can be retrieved.
Yeah, I mean, retrieving data, again, as I say, it's those two ways, the two methods.
Yeah.
But what I would say to anyone that has got a data failure is turn the machine off and contact someone first, because as you boot your machine up, it's constantly overwriting. So you could be overwriting your lost data. I was also
Right.
thinking about since the pandemic as well. So I myself had to diversify in order to stay afloat because the virus pandemic was just causing a nightmare. Some of my businesses, I mean, they've ceased trading now because the virus was just too much for them. You know, they just couldn't cope with the financial burden, and that's a real shame. So during the first lockdown, business was getting really quiet for me. So I decided to send an email to a select number of my clients, informing them that I am actually still currently working and I'm classed as an essential worker, providing IT and communications support. So I went on to describe also at that time how my business has changed to incorporate the new virus measures. So since that email went out, I picked up a number of small businesses since, so a couple of one-man bands anyway, and then my home users have increased to just over 300 in my local area, and that's really, really nice. I also diversified by offering additional services like setting up set-top boxes, TVs, you name it. If it connects to the internet, I'm on it. So more recently, I'm working remotely for people, where possible, of course, and where sensible. One of my clients, who actually lives up country near Oxford Way, I'm his virtual secretary. So I dial in and I deal with his letters and his emails and so on, but I haven't started to dress for that part yet. So jury's out.
Well, so it's quite diverse with the approach that you've taken. I read a horrible story actually about a Finnish company that got badly hacked, and this was a mental health company who had a lot of very confidential data, and they got hacked. And it was, if you want to see it, it says you talk to your therapist, and then the hackers took the information, and it has a chill to the bone when you actually read what happened there. So obviously data leakages are really kind of dangerous. What can we do about it? What is a data leak and what do we do?
Well, a data leak can be very dangerous because of the damage that it can cause. I mean, it can damage the business or the businesses and also the individuals. I mean, things like bullying, for instance, blackmail and extortion. All of these result from hacking and or data theft. Very, very dangerous thing. I've been working on a data leak investigation, actually. Funny you should mention this. Where data had gone missing allegedly, and I'd had to scan all the devices concerned, looking for things like malware, viruses, and so on, and then dig a little deeper into intrusion or different forms of intrusion, things like email forwarders being set up on people's emails accounts. And then once we've investigated that side of things, then dig a little further and see if I can locate where the data was leaked or breached, how it was done, and who did it, and so on. Obviously, you know, where possible, of course. And in some cases, it is possible to do that. So I completed that job actually a couple of weeks ago and sent my report off. And since that, I've actually picked up another one, very similar in nature, potential data theft again, possibly an inside job, but I can't say that until I've completed my investigations. But this one is a lot more individuals involved, so it's going to be a little bit longer on this one.
So who gives you the work then? Is it the clients or the fraud association?
Yeah, clients, they come to me, you know, or they're advised by, you know, various authorities and so on to say, well, you need to seek advice of someone that can help you with this, that, and the other. And that's how I've got involved. But I will mention 3 tips to try.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do I stop being hacked? What's the hack attack top tips that you've got?
Well, the thing here is that everybody's going to get hit at some point by something. So the best way to deal with it is plan for it. Okay. So, you know, you can't just say, oh, I spend all this money on doing this, that, and the other, and I'm protected fully. It's not the way of thinking now, because the hackers are getting so clever. You just need to plan to be hit, and then you can recover from there. So my top 3 tips, I would say, was the first thing is create a disaster recovery plan. Okay, so you know where you're going when it happens, not if, but when it happens. Make sure, this is the second tip, make sure your data is anonymized. Easy for me to say, anonymized. Store your data in different chunks. In other, break it up. Names, addresses, personal notes, etc. Separate them all, but have link codes or keys that will actually be able to put them together again and make sense. They're like a form of encryption, if you like. And remember that if all of your data is actually anonymized, you shouldn't fall foul of the General Data Protection Regulation that came in 2018. And my third tip is be very careful about cloud storage and their security measures, because remember, the onus is on you as an individual or a business, okay? If you get something wrong, it comes back and bites you.
Wow. No. So that's all a bit scary. So if we whiz on to kind of hybrid working, because that's the other thing that was particularly interesting for you in the breakout groups, because we were talking about if I now work here at home, but then I go in, and because I'm not now working in an office, I'll go into maybe a lobby, a hotel lobby, and you gave us some really scary thoughts. So do you want to share those with everyone?
I'd be happy to. Okay, so things like working from home or working in different areas, there's many different areas, many different bits that I can bring into this, but I'll make it nice and short and brief and just give you a few of the main sort of points. So I've broken it down into things like general security, including environmental measures. So the main risk, I believe, from working from home or outside the office environment is security. Okay, I'm going to say that again, security. Generally, a business will have some level of good security in the office or workplace. Well, at least I'd hope so. Now, when a member of staff starts working from home, they'll usually connect to the internet by means of their home router, which will have some basic firewall protection measures. The measures will be the standard that come out with, the general manufacturers of those routers. So it may not be up to scratch depending on what you're doing. So remember, it's the nature of your work that's involved. It depends on how much protection you have in place. So you wouldn't want your passport information or any other sensitive information being processed from someone's home without the required security measures in place and being tested to make sure that it is as it should be. Setting up a secure network and environment is absolutely no good if it's not tested. Okay, this is where a lot of systems fail. They set it all up and it's all tickety-boo and it's not been tested, and there's all sorts of vulnerabilities and leaks. Okay, so with environmental measures, things like you need to be sort of looking at what room will you be working in? Will there be others with you? Are you sitting near a window or a door? There's many different things to consider, but again, it does depend on the nature of the work being undertaken. Now, I've also mentioned Wi-Fi hotspots, because this is quite a little good number. Now, not a lot of people know that when you connect to a hotspot, let's say you go to a pub, a hotel, or a cafe, to name but a few, you don't know anything about the network that you're going to connect to. Now, it can be very easy for people to connect their devices to that network and run specialist software that will sniff all the data running up and down that pipe, okay? So between all your devices, so anyone connected to that network, potentially it could be a man in the middle attack. People are just looking at the data and storing it. So you imagine, right, here's a scenario. You pop into a cafe and you look up on your laptop or your mobile device and you find a hotspot called free cafe Wi-Fi. Fantastic, it's free, it's Wi-Fi. So you connect to it and you've got internet access. Great, just what you need. So then you look at your social media, you update it as normal, read and send emails, all as normal. You wouldn't know anything different. However, here comes the warning. You don't know who else is actually looking at that data stream going up and down the pipe. Your personal connection information, like a username and password, is always going as well. So in some cases, the security information is in clear text format. In other words, it's not coded or encrypted. So whoever's looking at that is reading your information. They can store it, go away and reuse it. So the thing here is never connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot that you don't know and you don't trust, and never enter personal information on it. It's much safer. Wait till you get back home, do it at home. because it's, you know, it's tried and tested, you know your security setup. Now, another one I'm going to mention on as well is shoulder surfing. This is I love this one, shoulder surfing. So so many people do it. So when you're working on something, let's say you're in an office or a cafe at home, you need to look around you and ask yourself a few questions before you even start working. In fact, I've broken it into 5 questions. So question 1 is, can anyone see my screen? Second, can anyone see my fingers moving on the keypad? Third one, are there any windows around me where someone can look through and see me? 4, are there any mirrors or reflective surfaces that I can be seen, you know, my reflection? And 5, are there any CCTV cameras that are around that can catch you working? A lot of people don't think about this one. So if you can answer yes to any one of those 5 questions, it'll probably be a good idea not to start work there, move somewhere else. Just remember, safety first. Which brings me to my last little bit, mobile SIM internet connections. So this method of connection is more secure than a normal Wi-Fi, as it doesn't allow others to connect to your data stream normally. And I say normally because I will come back to that. So this connection will use the mobile broadcast towers for cell networks. You'll need to make sure you're not connected to a Wi-Fi network because your device might be set up to use Wi-Fi first. In other words, to save using your mobile data allowance. So when in doubt on that one, always turn off the Wi-Fi option first, then you know you're forcing it through the SIM card and the mobile cell tower. So just a quick note about the security for this method. I said about no one can connect to your stuff normally. Well, it is possible for cell networks to be monitored by unauthorized individuals, as well as the security services and cell providers themselves. But generally, you should be okay. But you do need to understand that it can be monitored, especially by unauthorized people as well. Yes, scary.
It is scary, isn't it?
I'm going to need to I'm going to step in now on that scary moment because we are running to the end. And Graham, you as usual, anything to do with cyber does tend to scare the pants off people. But I like your 5 steps there, and the CCTV one is actually quite a thought there, because how many people would have gone into a Costa or somewhere similar just to use the Wi-Fi? McDonald's, use the Wi-Fi, send it on. You've got somebody across there creating their own hotspot. So thank you for coming to speak to us today. I am going to have to close this down because we're getting to the end of our hour. So thank you, Angela, for bringing Graham along. Thank you, Jackie, for coming along to tell us all about the new Hampton by Hilton. Jim, thank you for the work on Torbay Together. But there's a really, really big special today because Emily, who without Emily's input, going back 15 months ago, these events would not have taken off and would not have happened. She's been producing our GoToWebinar events now for 15 months, all 21 of them, because Emily is going to be leaving us for a short while she goes on maternity leave. So, round of applause for Emily. Everybody in their homes now, all of you sort of really wish you all the very best for your new arrival. When is the baby due?
Thanks, Steve. It's due on the 14th of July, so I've got a little bit of time left, but I will miss you all massively, and I'll be tuning in to see what you're all up to, and hopefully I'll see you at a face-to-face breakfast in the very near future. Yeah, well, we look forward to that, and I really will miss you. We're going to move from GoToWebinar. Actually, this is the last GoToWebinar. We'll be moving across to Teams Live. Not sure how that's going to work, but we'll talk about it later, and you will be briefed. And hopefully in July, who knows, whether it'll be face-to-face or online, we will be here. Emily won't be with us, but you've got Mike Lukanen coming in. Yep. Yeah, that's right, Steve. Yeah, that's great. So thanks again to our guests, to our sponsors, Cavanna Homes and Absolute Sales and Lettings. To you, our audience, for joining in, and if you're watching on catch up, as I said, don't vote now, but we will leave you for June. Let's keep fingers crossed for June the 21st, please. But whatever happens.
Steve, don't forget the TBC and Zoom.
Which is next Tuesday. So TBCN next Tuesday, 4 o'clock. So make sure you register. You can find it on the Paignton Chamber of Commerce website.
And
You can
ours
find the
as
link.
well, links on there.
And ours, yeah. And again, thanks to Mike working in the background at IMS Marketing, who does our website and all of our events, and Angela for doing all the social media posts, getting us all here. I think it's a case of farewell to Emily, see you soon, good luck, and thank you to you all. I'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.